All right, weekend market update Sunday evening. Hope everyone had a great weekend. This is Koosh. We're going to do something really simple today. Simple exercise. The PSYOP is real in financial markets, as it should be, right? When you're at the precipice of a major move, it shouldn't feel like it. They call it the wall of worry for a reason. The sentiment goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, flip-flopping wall of worry, classic wall of worry. We're living in it. Meanwhile, the IWM weekly chart is well, I'll tell you how bullish its setup, technical setup currently is by simply pointing to the last two occurrences where we had this setup. And then what I'm going to do is share what Bitcoin did in this environment, and we're going to call it a day. It's going to be short, it's going to be sweet. Let's go back to the first one that goes, well, the first of the two that I'm going to share. I'm not going to go back all that far. I'm going to go back to 2016, where IWM, let me zoom in, let me zoom in, let me zoom in, let me zoom in. Okay. It's very simple pattern recognition. Not going to get into Elliott waves. We're just going to get into simple pattern recognition. Any of you could do this. Reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't take what I'm saying as financial advice. Do your own research and use this as education. Things I talk about could go up, down, or sideways, as we know. I think they're going up big time. That is not a secret, right? That is not a secret at all. My forecast for Bitcoin was raised for the summer to 275 minimum. And let's get into, let's get into some of the rationale behind it. Here's one piece of the puzzle. IWM going into December 2013. March 2014, what you'd consider in Wyckoff terms a buying climax, okay? And then you kind of get this overlapping structure. Then you get another overlapping structure. You could call this, a WX, and then this stab down Y, or an expanded flat with three legs. Doesn't matter. The point is it's a structure that breaches the previous all-time high, where the market, in essence, kind of is fooled into thinking we're going to new all-time highs. But A, B, 30-week is lost, weekly is lost, distribution overlapping into the weekly under the 30-week. Remember, for the members, I always say the reaction if a weekly 30 or cloud is lost is the most telling of anything, right? In terms of, does it start overlapping, or do you get a reclaim of those two things that I look for? Either way, for the purpose of this video, you see overlapping, and then you see capitulation C. And then you see what you'd expect to see at the start of a new impulse, which is a V-shaped recovery, okay? Reclaim the 30-week very quickly, consolidate in around the 30. That's a sign of strength in Wyckoff terms. LPS, back up to LPS, sign of strength, back up. And that first backup flagged into the 30. Okay, so this was the cloud movement. This was the breakout. This was the kind of test of the 30, and then the market went. Now, what did Bitcoin do in that environment? Well, actually, let me do it this way. Let me do it a little bit differently. Let me do this a little bit differently. I don't edit my videos. I just fly. We just go with it, full send. That's the mentality here. So next is what we're looking at here, which was the COVID lows. Similar type of setup without an expanded flat, right? The highs were not breached. A, capitulation, sideways overlapping. B, capitulation down. C, in the form of a zigzag. A, B, C. Impulse, exactly what you'd expect to see, getting back, challenging the underside of that cloud, 30-week, consolidating around it at an LPS. And then your first flag into the cloud, back to the 30. And what did the market do? Boom. What did Bitcoin do at that period? That's what we're going to get to. Why is all this relevant? It's relevant because I'm trying to illustrate a comparison to where we are today. What do we see with IWM once it got up to this level? Distribution, space closing in with the 30-week, up thrust, retest on the underside into the cloud, the 30, and then you have overlapping into the cloud, which is bearish, 30-week kind of turning down, and basing, reaccumulation in essence. Okay, overlapping. Let me get this overlapping, whether this is a one, I'm not going to count it now, or this was some massive A, B, C, and this is a massive flat correction. That's not for this discussion. The point is we got a deviation and A, B, C, V. This is when I was calling for a V-shaped recovery. Made the case for several weeks in April. That's not what this is about. This is about what happened after. Okay, similar to the two last examples I shared, what happened after we got this V? We impulsed back. What's impulsing back? It's not that hard to spot, right? There's no overlapping, right? There's no overlapping and there's no, time that goes by. These candles go up, they go up fast, they go up in succession in terms of subsequent weeks. And the result is from what we visualize is a V-shaped recovery, reclaim the 30-week, consolidated in and around the crown, and then broke out and what? Boom, flagging. But where is this flagging? Okay, where is this flagging? Where is it flagging in relation to the deviation? Where is it flagging in relation to that deviation? It's flagging into above the entire reaccumulation. This is about the most bullish IWM setup we've ever seen. Why do I say that? Because the one going into COVID, that was a reaccumulation that lasted 819 days. This one has been, for all intents and purposes, double 1,625 days. I told the members and the subs on X when we got this move, what was it? The 17th of November that week, that was the check back. That was the bullish check back we were looking for. 30-week, come back to it, about as bullish as a setup as you can get. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks into a zone above this reaccumulation, above the deviation, and we got a breakout. And so now what am I concerned with? Well, let me finish the story. Compared to 800 days here, compared to how many days here? Compared to 993 days. So you have a longer reaccumulation, a fresh breakout. That doesn't mean this thing goes up next week in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. You can do anything, right? You can come back, whatever. But this is the path I'm expecting forward in IWM. Now the question is, how has Bitcoin performed in these environments? The breakout backtest environment. Let's look at it. 50%, 30%, 40%. Let's just look at the forward 6 months. Let's keep it really simple. The forward 6 months from when the market dipped to then break out and check back to the 30-week. Dipped, broke out, and check back to the 30-week. Dip, breakout, check back to the 30-week. The violent dips, the violent V impulses, and the violent check backs. That's what this exercise is about. 50%, 60%. All right, let's see. Let's get Bitcoin up here. All right, so from the low that dipped back October 16th, Bitcoin was 773. The forward 6 months, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That gets us to 2661. 2661 divided by 773, a 3.4x. What's that times 80,000? $275,000 Bitcoin. Okay, I'm sure that's not going to happen. There's no way that happens. There's no precedent for that. The next breakout backtest was here, October. Sorry. September 21st, 2020, the price of Bitcoin was 11,000. Let's just call it 11,000, 10,900, 11,000. Forward 6 months, what was the highest price of Bitcoin? 58,000. Okay, 58,000 divided by 11,000. 5.29x times 80,000. 423,000. Why don't we see charts everywhere of claiming Bitcoin could easily be between 275 and 423,000 the forward 6 months of the low that was made in November? Why? Because markets are doing their job. Everyone's thinking the opposite, that it's either the start of a bear market or we have a bear market rally prior to more down. The least amount of people are thinking like I am, I can promise you that. And the least amount of people are thinking that there are way higher targets ahead than the types of targets that I'm claiming. Do I think we're going to be 423,000 within 6 months? No. I do think we will be by the end of the summer over 275. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your evening. Take care.